Okay, so we are recording the August 17th meeting of the Youth Services folk in the South Central Library System. And I'm so glad to see everybody there. Our question for the day is, what are your favorite memories of back to school time? A lot of us love the school supplies. I loved also shopping for clothes at JCPenney in Winona, Minnesota. That was a big deal. So let us know either in chat or via, you can use your microphone and test it out and let us know what you appreciated or what your favorite memories are of back to school time. It's back to school time, big time in my house, and I have a lot of things to do before September 2nd when my daughters start school. Okay. I put a few discussion topics in our agenda, and I'm going to paste that agenda into the chat so that you all have it again. Let me just have it open the chat window here. There we go. So the agenda is now pasted in chat. If you need to click into it, there it is. And as I said, I added a few discussion topics as things are going on and changing right now. But really, this is a very informal check-in meeting. If anybody has other topics that you'd like to bring up and discuss, let us know, and we can add them at any time, because this is just for us. Okay, so the chat question, the intro question, kind of leads us off into the first discussion point, and that is, are you doing anything for back to school, or do you have questions for your colleagues about programming or services or support that you're providing for your community during back to school time? Go ahead, Michelle.
This isn't specifically back to school. It's kind of my fall programming, but for September, I was going to bring the book The Day That Crayons Quit, and I think the subsequent books that go with it. I found, so I started creating these little crayons to put in the library. I can put the link in if anybody's interested, but I think it was J Library that had posted about these little guys. So then they're each going to hold a word, and then the kids will go around the library and try to find the words that the crayons are holding, write them down, and then I'll put them all in a drawing for a pizza dinner for their family. And then I thought I would just have the books available for families to check out. We're kind of not doing programming except for outside programming for September for sure. So just thought I want to have people feel welcome when they're in here, have something to do, but not do big groups together at once. And then I thought I'd kind of have some collaborative art projects available for people to either take and bring it back or to do here at the library.
Thank you, Michelle. I love those crayons. They're really very sweet. I imagine they were fun to make too. Patty has mentioned promote library card sign-up month, which is in a few weeks too, isn't it? Are others? Oh, go ahead, Michelle or Catherine. Yes, thank you.
I just wanted to ask Michelle, because I'm doing a couple things at once here. Could you just repeat what were you doing with the book, The Day the Crayons Quit? Are you doing a reading of that in conjunction with your program?
I wasn't gonna do a reading of it. I thought I'd just have copies of the book available for people to check out.
Ah,
Just
okay,
have
got
a
it,
bunch, yeah.
got it. Okay. Thank you.
So you have multiple copies, Michelle?
I was gonna put multiple copies on hold, yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is a time where we should be checking in with each other. How are you all doing? Are you thinking about fall programming? Are your ideas changing? One of my coworkers is making some noise. Just a second. You know, now that Dane County, where I am and others in this group are, that we have reinstated the mask mandate starting in a couple of days. So is this changing some of your plans for the fall? Or how are you? Has anything changed? Nicole, thank you.
Yeah, we just had a meeting this morning and made a lot of decisions. So we're going back to virtual story times in September. And we're holding out on possibly doing some team programs in person that we can distance in October, but I really don't think it's going to happen. And we've gone back to having masks required for all staff as of, I think, a little over a week ago now.
Nicole is up in Portage County in Stevens Point. We have Bethany saying that she's waiting to see how the board feels tonight. They're right out of Dane, but I don't know how the board will be feeling. So much is in the air right now. Anyone else? Andrea.
Sorry, I'm late. Are you summarizing the fall programming?
What we're doing is just kind of, talking about what were you going to do for back to school? What are you doing for the fall? Really just checking in, asking questions.
We have decided to sort of do something similar to what we did over the summer, and at least the children's events are going to be outside on the front lawn until, as long as weather permits. We'll have to wait and see what the situation is then. But one big change we're making is we're only putting out our brochure on a month-to-month basis. So we're not predicting, planning, doing all that other work that we normally do. Hopefully that'll help.
What a good idea. How are others in your building doing? Are there other programs or other services that are changing? Curbside, going back to more of the types of things we did early on in the pandemic. Cole's nodding her head. Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the programs and services that we started during COVID that will continue, that includes curbside, even though our numbers have been way down. And we are also continuing our learning labs, which are take and makes for little kids. And then we do Kid Lit Loot and Teen Lit Loot. We'll continue doing those both once a month as well. And those have all been great. So I think families will be happy that we have that.
Go ahead, Andrea.
We're continuing our teen programming much as it was over the summer because it's all virtual. So it's all live virtual. We're using Discord. Yes, our story time craft will continue to be a kit. We also have curbside still going, but it's much diminished. Our board did decide though, however, that we're watching the county's infection rate, and as long as it stays at high, staff is masked. We encourage patrons to mask. Mondays are mandatory masks for everyone. So people can come on that day and know that they will have that protection. And we're metering how many people can be in the building. If it goes to very high, then we automatically close the building to patrons and go back to full curbside.
And that is the county numbers. You're watching Greene County numbers, Andrea? Okay. And those maps are changing every day. Are others talking about the potential of closing your buildings again? Not yet. I was wondering, Andrea, about the types of team programming that you're doing. If you could give us a few examples.
Sure, twice a month. They meet on Discord and then we do gaming. It's generally Jackbox games. We bought a small subscription. Another week it is chess. And actually that's a URL I could send out to people. We found a spot online where kids can play one another. So they do little mini chess tournaments, who's ever on the Discord and participating. And then the fourth week of each month is a teen craft. So the kit is made and prepared and advertised in advance and kids pick it up. And the idea is that they all come together on Discord that night and do the craft together, which is worked beautifully for those kids who participated on that given date. And the kits were very popular. Fewer kids showed up on that Tuesday to do it as a group, but that's okay. That's okay. You know how it is. You have to measure participation in so many different ways. Oh, we're also scheduling some teen late nights. The idea being that that these kids are kids that are already spending time together in school. That's typically who they are. And so we'll try it. You know, there'll be fewer people in the building than normally is in the building. We will do whatever, we will follow whatever mask protocol the school district has in place at that time, which I think is going to change again. And we'll see. we'll do one a month. So we'll see how September goes, and maybe we'll do another one on the scheduled date in October, and maybe not.
And those are in person. Cool. Wendy, I saw your hand up. Oops, we can't hear you, Wendy, if you're talking. I just realized.
How about now?
Oh, perfect.
Andrea, I was just wondering what your teen take-home crafts have been that have been really popular, if you don't mind sharing.
Not at all. I think Laura would be happy to share all the stuff. One was they got a styrofoam egg and then silver and gold thumbtacks and made it into a dragon's egg. And the other one was a little mini clay pot. And then you got 3 rocks to paint to look like cactus. And stuck them in your little pot with a little, I don't know what that material is that you stuff on top of your soil to make it look pretty. But she's drumming up some other stuff. I'm not sure what else she's going to do. I keep telling her we have a ton of felt. I think that's the wrong way to drive the brainstorming, but still, it's worth a thought.
Sometimes you got to start with what you've got, right? And Bethany mentions in Columbus that the teen take and makes have been popular. She doesn't always get them back, but kind of echoing what Andrea said. What other types of, we've been talking a lot about grab and goes or take and makes at these meetings. Are there some that have worked out really well at some of your libraries? Some that you want to talk about and show off a little bit? Go ahead.
It's not anything out of the ordinary, but it was the adults did it, and they got those little teeny tiny paint pots and gave them a small set of acrylic paints, and they had a tiger paint by number. And in that case, what sold it was the demo that was made, that was on display, and that flew out. Who knew? Tiger paint by number. I think free on the web.
We did a flying things bag, so they can make a hoop glider with a straw and 2 circles, and then the parachute, not the parachute, the helicopter thing where you fold the helicopter, the paper, and you throw it in the air and it spins down. That's our activity bag for these couple of weeks. Flying things.
I just have a couple handy. Sailboat out of a pool noodle, and we decorated a fish magnet. Just the ones I happen to have next to me here.
Did anybody use the 2D die cuts of the animals that came with summer reading? We did those. We just cut up a whole set of them and put them in a bag, and kids made their own little animals.
Good, that's what we were hoping. And others are saying that they used the die cuts. Bethany, thank you that you used them too. I will be collecting your wishes, your suggestions and recommendations for dyes for 2022. I'm going to order those. I'm thinking probably in September. So feel free to send me recommendations for dyes that you would like to see, that you would like us to purchase. I'll also send out a very formal message to Kids List asking for suggestions too. But if you have ideas for dyes that you already want to use, let me know. And we want to get those ordered as soon as possible so we can start the rotation as soon as possible. And that's something that Bethany recommended from Columbus. So thank you, Bethany, for that suggestion. And following up with that, I'll be sending out a form asking people to host the 2021 site, 2021 dyes, looking for sites for those. So that will be coming up very soon too. I thought I would get it done before this meeting this morning, but something else came up. So apologies for not having those formal protocols in place, letting you know or asking for suggestions, but be looking for that. At Rock Springs, oh, they're hatching monarch butterflies and did a fun butterfly craft. How many butterflies did you end up catching, Laura?
So far, we've hatched just only 3, but the kids have had an awesome time, and the adults had never seen at that set as well. So they really had a great time. We made a fun, just copy filter butterfly, and then we did another one with just the circles. So the kids had a good time with that, and we're just now starting to be open. So not a lot of traffic yet, mostly story time and littles who were chomping at the bit to get back. So, and they have been open in the basement of a church, but very limited amounts of space and limited amounts of materials. But we were very blessed to be to still be open. So happy to be back.
Congratulations too, because your building opened up last week. Great. All right, I'm looking at chat to see if there was anything there. Okay. Anything else about grab and goes, take and makes, programming, questions for anyone? Sure, Catherine, thank you.
Since we have the new mask mandate coming up on Thursday in Dane County, and we're finding that we might not be able to do as much in-person programming, I just wanted to make a plug. I have found that my book clubs have been so much more popular online than they ever were in-house. I think kids who come to book clubs feel safer at home and more willing to talk. That's what I found. And I had one just yesterday. Our book was, I do a tween book club, and I've started doing a teen book club. And the tween one, the book we did just yesterday was Because of the Rabbit by Cynthia Lord. And I had 2 new families join. So I had 9 kids total. And these kids joined, I found out, because they have rabbits and they wanted to be able to share their rabbits. So that's something they were able to do online. They were able to show everyone their pet rabbits, and that's something they never could have done if we had that meeting here in the library, So there are some little things like that. I've done Lego clubs too, and kids really like to show off their Legos that they have at home. So I think there are some advantages to doing online programming, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you for that, Catherine. Andrea.
I agree with you. We busted our tails making all sorts of videos during the closure. And while it was good for my skills, it was a lot of time. And they just weren't profitable in our market. People just didn't watch those videos, but they seem to participate in the live virtual things. So at least we know that piece. So I concur, Catherine.
You're allowing people to connect. I love the idea of getting together and crafting together. I want to do that just with my friends. And I like the way both of you have talked about this in terms of benefits of online programming. You know, so often we're feeling burned out, but as Andrea mentioned, you know, what is working, you know, so the videos of programming, of typical story times, for instance, she learned a new skill, but the most bang for her buck came from connecting people. Are others thinking about going back to virtual programming in the same way or in new ways? Seeing some nods of heads. Oh, there was a question about you've been doing Legos. This is for Catherine. You've been doing Legos virtually. How have you been doing that? And that is from Heather in Prairie du Sac. Thank you.
Hi, Heather. So what I do is I invite the kids to bring their Legos and then I read to them. I read them a story, you know, kind of a longer story while they're working on their project. And then at the end, they have a show and tell. So we go around and everybody gets to show what they made. And they love to do that. They love to show off what they made. And this is a way that older kids get to listen to stories too. They like that too.
Catherine, did you have to hand out Legos to any families, or do they all just have them?
We offered Legos if they didn't have any, but I never got a request. They all had Legos. I am amazed at how many kids of all ages just love Legos so much. You know, I wish I had invented them. They're so great, so successful.
That sounds so peaceful too. Listening to a story while working on Legos. What were some of the books that you read that worked well?
Well,
Patty just asked too.
I started with the first one I did was on it was in 2020, in April of 2020 on Earth Day. So I read the Lorax and I asked them to try to make something green, you know, some outdoor thing with their Legos or a place they like to go outdoors. And I'm trying to remember what else I read. I have forgotten just at the moment. If I think of it, I'll put it in the chat. But I know I did the Lorax, and that one kids knew, and it was really popular.
And what a great book to use in April of 2020 when everything was so unfamiliar, to go to a familiar book. Great idea. And Andrea asked about the frequency, Catherine.
You know, I think that I was doing it once a month during the school year. And then I stopped over the summer because we got busy with other programs. So I'm going to go back probably in October. Somebody at our last meeting said they were taking a break from programming in September. And that sounded so pleasant to me that I decided to do that too. So I think in October, we'll start up our monthly programs again.
A lot of people are supportive of taking September off, and I certainly am too. Baraboo says August, December, and May are months that they take off for programming. Yeah, you have to practice compassion for yourself and your colleagues. And that's, yeah, that's part of it. Patty is asking you, Catherine, when you did the Lego programs, did you use Zoom?
Yes, we use Zoom.
Wow, that's so great. Okay. Do we have other questions, thoughts about programs? I think a bunch of us are inspired by the Lego program, Catherine. We're going to see some Lego programming. Have any of you created the craft tutorials? I know some of you have created craft tutorials for the Take and Makes. Nicole, thank you.
Yeah, we just did videos on Facebook for each of them. And so the kids, and we kind of sold it to the families that, you know, here's a craft, the kids can watch the video and follow along and make it themselves if they want. I also, did I ever talk about our I Spy display? I think I mentioned it to you guys before, but we have some really nice display windows that face outside, and we filled it with stuff, and every 2 weeks we had a different list of items for families to find in the window, and I cannot believe how popular it was. I would walk past the window, even driving my car with the windows down, and people would exclaim and cross the street to come to it. There were always multiple families at once looking. My own daughter wanted to go every single time we were downtown, even though she had found everything multiple times. So we've decided to bring that back. We're going to do like a Winter Wonderland themed one. I think for the whole months of December and January, and then again during spring break. And we put it together thinking this will be an easy, passive program people can do outside comfortably, no big deal. I cannot say enough about how popular and excited people were over it.
Love it.
Yeah. And it was so easy for us to do. And you set it up and it just sits there.
Like window displays in fancy department stores.
I
Love
wish
it.
there really wasn't a good way to take statistics on it for who participated, because that must have been in the hundreds. But we did have it as one of the options for our summer reading club. So people on Beanstack would say that they had done it. So we were able to collect some at least.
That's smart. There are a few questions for you, Nicole, in chat. People want to see pictures. I want to see pictures.
Yes, I can send a picture.
What kinds of items have you been using and where are you getting them, Nicole?
So we have a lot of stuffed animals, and we are really lucky to have a huge play area. During COVID, we took all of that away and it was all sitting in storage. So we just had such a plethora of things to choose from. So we have some like toddler sized furniture to be able to stack things higher and give it some 3D, more 3D effects, I guess. And then really just a bunch of toys and display items. I'll send a photo out on the email list. I should take one anyway so we remember how we did it next time.
Related, Baraboo says that they have scavenger hunt sheets on their brochure table. One was nature related, the other one was about picture books and animals, and they both went out like hotcakes. Who knew? The kids liked it, something to do while outside this summer. So scavenger hunting. All right. Any other questions for any of the contributors? Well, you might be getting some follow-up questions, so thank you everybody who has talked about your programs and your innovative ways that you're doing programs virtually. Following up, we had Jeff Grant Turk at our last meeting talking about the kits that we're weeding. Jeff and I are weeding the kits right now. We're looking through the items and we'll be offering up any of the usable things to library staff for you to have in your libraries. We just learned that, I can't remember who mentioned it, the bubble maker wasn't working quite right. So I'm thinking about was that you, Michelle? I'm thinking about replacing the bubble maker. Is that still something that you think would be fun? Okay, I'll replace the bubble maker. And I'll be asking questions like this throughout the next few meetings too. But think about items that you think would be great for us to replace the kits with. So if there are things that might be popular at multiple libraries, we're looking for that too. We're not just getting rid of stuff. We want to add things that will be helpful for you. Okay. And we have more things coming up in the coming months. We have monthly meetings, monthly virtual check-in meetings, except for November, that are coming up, and you can find that information in the agenda, and I'll send reminders out before those meetings. So if you ever have topics you want to discuss, just let me know, or send a note out to Kids List, and we'll get that on the list of discussion topics. That's been working pretty well. We have a webinar coming up next week on the 26th. It's called Roll the Dice, beginning tabletop role-playing games to your library, or bringing them to your library, and that will be presented by a panel of librarians, some of you here in the group. So thank you to those of you who will be presenting it. That program will be it will be live, but we also will be recording it and posting it afterward. We have the nuts and bolts of social work in public libraries. That is scheduled. I talked about it last time. It's not open for registration yet, but it will take place on Wednesday, October 6th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So what that webinar will be, 2 field officers, placement officers from UW Stevens Point, one from UW Stevens Point, one from UW Madison, will be talking about what it means to host a social work intern at your library. And we will then follow that up with a final request for library staff to get back to us to let us know if you want to participate either in a cohort of libraries working together with an intern, or if you think you have enough work or enough service for one intern at your library. So stay tuned for more information about that. We're really excited about it, and that's been taking a lot of my energy and time, and it's pretty exciting. Then we have, so far, it still is scheduled to be in person. The annual youth programming workshop is scheduled for Thursday, November 11th at 9:30 at Old Brick Gardens in Madison. We have a couple of presenters who will be talking about Wisconsin water life and water ecology and water stories, including indigenous cultures. And we also are looking for somebody who can talk about science writing, or what it might mean to have a science journal, being inspired by science for writing and creating. So stay tuned for that. We have CCBC shorts coming up for the next several months. So registration information is in the agenda, and Jean and I will be sending reminders about CCBC shorts. And we also will do some type of informal webinar discussion about 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, the app that Bridges library system had created is going away at the end of the year. And we want people to be able to learn from each other about what they're doing at their libraries for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, whether it's using Beanstack, whether it's using a homegrown program, paper. We just haven't talked about 1,000 books for a while. So we'll talk about that sometime this fall too. And Bethany, no, thank you for asking about the sign up. That is not available yet for Old Brick Gardens, but we'll be getting that up soon. Okay, what else has been going on in the chat? We're talking about I Spy, scavenger hunts being really popular. And I imagine those will continue to be popular throughout the coming months. And the types of awards or recognition that you're giving to people who participate in the I Spy programs. All right, I feel like we're coming to the end of the meeting, but are there any final questions that you have for one another? Any thoughts that have come up during the meeting that you'd like to bring up? I know that it's a difficult time and we're really getting exhausted again with COVID. So, reach out to each other, reach out to me. Let me know if you just want to have a meeting to talk about how are we doing? How are we taking care of ourselves? I think those are important meetings to have too. And I'm happy to facilitate that. Not that I have the answers at all, but I really enjoy learning from all of you, and these meetings are so inspiring. Okay, so we can check out early. If there is nothing else, our next meeting is September 21st at 1 o'clock. That's on a Tuesday again. Please let me know if you have topics that you'd like to add, and I'll send a reminder out as we get closer to the meeting too. Okay, so I'm going to write up the notes and get those out as soon as possible, as well as the recording of the meeting. So thank you to everyone who was able to participate, able to attend today. Thank you for your contributions and for being present with one another. All right. Happy back to school, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.